Hi, and welcome to the School Health Educators Podcast, where we discuss health education and how to best teach health ed in the K 12 setting. Hello, welcome to the School Health Educators Podcast. I'm your host, Lori Reichel. Today's episode is one of two episodes focusing on resources a lot of health educators can refer to obtain updated information on specific health education content. To help me out today is Debbie Yelle. She actually contacted me because she knows a variety of resources, and I love talking with other people across the country or world to share their knowledge, their wisdom. So today is Debbie Yelle as our guest, and she'll be back for the second episode. Before I continue, Debbie, would you mind saying hello and introduce yourself to our listeners?
I would love to. Hello, my name is Debbie Yelle. I am a current middle school health teacher. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. But I think what I bring that is unique is that I have taught in 5 different school districts across 3 different states. And I think my teaching of health in each one of those environments was a little bit different. The support I received, the curriculum I received, the collaboration I received, and so hopefully our listeners and our viewers will find this enlightening. And I guess the reason why I reached out to you, Lori, is, well, number one is I'm trying to figure out my voice in this whole social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, my voice professionally. And then on top of that, I joined a Facebook group of health teachers, and that's where I saw your post. And then I thought, well, I'm going to listen to that because, like, I need to learn, and maybe I like how this person, who's you, spreading your message of health content towards health teachers. And your first person was Deb Tackman. And the funny thing is my first district I worked in the 90s was with Deb Tackman, and she was a phenomenal support person to me. So just one little quick story of working with Deb, and Tom Kidd was also a fabulous person there. But so when Deb said, because again, this wasn't when you had like the internet and you could go out and like do all these searches. Really, you had to go to workshops and then you had to buy all the books. But Deb allowed me to go into her classroom when she didn't have class and go through all of her files. She had 4 large 4-drawer file cabinets, and I would go in folder by folder. And so I just thought, if I can give some of that service to other people, then I'll do that.
And I think that's so wonderful. So you had a mentor that did that. I also had one in my first middle school position, and her name was Iris Salzman. She just opened up her filing cabinets as well as
Yeah.
her heart to me, and I'm so
Yes.
appreciative of that. So that's really neat that you have somebody like that, and Deb Tackman, who is still teaching. She
Yes.
subs and everything.
Yes. Yes.
Really appreciate your time today. And for those of you listening in, what I did was I asked Debbie
Mhm.
to let me know what resources she really wants to talk about on 2 episodes. So today we're going to talk about 3 that she provided, and they include the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the Environmental Working Group,
Yeah.
and OneLove. Well, actually, OneLove and LoveisRespect. So it's actually 4 for today. And what I'd like to do is to show what these are on my screen. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Those of you that watch this podcast on the YouTube channel, you can check these out. I'll also attempt to have these links in today's description. So are you ready to start talking about some of these resources that you refer to for updated information?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, if we can start with the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and I clicked on the link that you had given me, Debbie,
Yep.
that shows commonly used drugs charts. Do you mind going over what you use this resource for?
Yes, we go over, kind of this introduction on what is the difference between use, abuse, what is misuse. We go over some of the basic categories of drug use. Students then pick a drug, and actually we've identified which drugs that we want covered. But anyway, so they pick a drug, and then what they do is they have to relate it back to how does that drug negatively impact a body system, right? Because that was like one of our other major units. So they have to name the drug, they have to come up with a description, common use, street names, and then the main part is how does that drug affect 4 organs in the body? And then we give them big giant sheets of paper, and they have an outline of the human body. They draw then the organs, and then they write a description of how that organ is affected. So how we use this website is that number one, we find that it is reliable, not only for me to keep up on trends and information, right, just as a professional, but on the second thing is this is where students go. We give them access to this website, and then they will click on, if somebody has tobacco, nicotine, and vaping, they'll click on that. And this is one of at least 3 different websites that we give students to look at.
So if we look at this site as whether or not it fulfills the standard number 3 of accessing reliable resources, if we look at, is it updated? Is it
Correct.
by people that are qualified? Is the information valid, reliable, accessible, that kind of thing? And we see
Correct.
it's from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, in which that has been a very reliable resource for us in the field for a long time.
Yes, and then just because you're bringing that point up, we actually start our whole, like, it's like the day 3 of introduction to health is that we have students do this activity where they have to we give them, like, it's a PowerPoint, but it gives them different articles, and then they have to, like, they're not even reading the article, they're just trying to figure out how current is the article. And then
Okay.
then they're given this other thing, and then they have to figure out who's the authority, what's the author's purpose? What's the credible information? Is it relevant to what they were looking at? And so that's kind of like our first week of health. This is this activity where we're having them do the drugs and the body posters and using this website. This is, at the end of our health. This
Yeah.
is time the students are with us.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
resource. And that's the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the NIH Advancing Addiction Science resource. Let's move on to the other one for this episode, and that's the Environmental Working Group. And I thought it was interesting that you referred to this because this is sometimes a content area we don't always have enough time to teach in school health education.
In 8th grade health at the school that I'm at in the district is we talk about the endocrine system. And so just quickly, what I do is that I have students break up into groups. They each are given a different gland, and then they have to create some research on it, on what's the gland's purpose, how do you care for it, and that kind of thing. Then after that, then we talk about what are endocrine disruptors, which then leads me then to this website. So, again, part of my, like, I do kind of a teacher-led introduction, right? So what is an endocrine disruptor? Like, one of the things I have kids do is take out a piece of paper or a sticky note, and they write every product they put on their body or they took in through their lungs, right? Which could be like perfume, and or ate before they come to this class. And then that's how I talk about how, like, your skin and your lungs are also eating these products, right? So this understanding of, like, toxic load. But students can type in their products, and then we talk about how there's this rating of 1 to 10. We talk about what, the environmental working group says is, like, some of the chemicals in there, and then students can link on some of the ingredients, and they can see what those ingredients then can cause harm to their body. I asked them 3 questions. So, what is the product that they're using? Is it harmful? Yes or no. And then if they want to put the rating, they can. So, like, obviously, the environmental working group, the lower the number, the better. The one that we talk about is what is the ingredient that is harmful? And then can you find a replacement option that would lead you on this continuum to less toxic? And if you scroll down, keep scrolling down, they give you some other suggestions. And so then we talk about, possibly the next time they're out shopping, they want to, look for one of these.
So it's increasing young people's health literacy, basically, that they, whatever they're learning, they can apply to their personal daily lives.
And then decreasing their toxic load. And then
Yeah.
obviously it's connected back to that environmental working group. And then also just a couple other things I talk about, Safe Cosmetics, which is another a non-for-profit website that I go to. And then this idea of like Proposition 65 and how, there is a little bit of difference in different states. And California is, maybe we could say, is leading some of those initiatives. And they also have a database that students can go on and look at.
Okay. Do you mind if we go on to the next resource that you referred to?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so this one is OneLove, and I love OneLove.
Yes. Yes,
I teach one of my content areas that I've done some work with is human sexuality that incorporates healthy relationships, which I think young people love to talk about. It might sound very dry, but as soon as you bring it up and talk about the conflicts people have in personal relationships, they love it. They love chatting about this stuff.
absolutely. A couple things that I like about the OneLove. One is it looks like they have like equal balance between unhealthy relationships and healthy relationships. And I think because a lot of health educators are comfortable talking about then these uncomfortable topics, what can end up happening is when you look at, the entire semester that a student might be with you, I just want to make sure that I have a balance, that I'm talking about things in a positive light as much as I might be talking about some of this heavy content. And so that's one of the reasons why I like OneLove, is because they focus also on the healthy things about a relationship. And I think you can
Yes.
also buy more kids into that conversation.
Hmm.
I like on here, just if you go to click the tab that says relationships up at the top,
Okay, I think that's
it's
the page I'm on right now.
yeah, okay. So that you can, find healthy, you can find unhealthy. There are some videos that you can also do. They also will have training. So if you sign in and log in, you can go through some trainings of like further understanding. I think it's like a safety measure that probably OneLove has put in. I think it's fabulous. Is that if you're going to use their content, then you have to kind of go through a couple hurdles as an adult or a facilitator of understanding what is the mission of OneLove, what are the signs of a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. So it's super easy. It's maybe 10 minutes of watching a video, and then there's a little quiz that you have to take. And then it opens up more things. So I think it's a wonderful safety feature. I don't know if I'd call safety feature, but I think in the group that developed this OneLove, I think that is a great part of this.
I love how they break things down. I actually had a high school student approach me to say, "Can we talk about how to break up with someone? That's be nice about it. Try to be as compassionate, I should say, as possible when you break up, because that's hard." And
Right.
sometimes adults might say, "Oh, they're kids." No, no, they have such deep feelings, and they need to understand this stuff. It hurts our hearts. So this
Yes,
is a
yes. And I
great
think for
resource.
yeah, and I think for health teachers out there, if this is the first time or you're looking just to kind of remember what the content that you're supposed to be teaching, beyond like the scope and sequence and the curriculum, but just kind of refreshing your memory, I think this is a great resource to just for again a professional just to kind of look in and say am I supposed to be delivering this, what are some of the key terms, because maybe your district won't doesn't want you to make this website accessible to kids because obviously it also has some content that maybe at the middle school level or whatever grade you're teaching, students can't have free reign to this website. So then you're going to use this as a professional to make sure that you're understanding the content pieces or how to deliver something. But how I use this is I have some teacher-led activities where we have a PowerPoint, and I didn't create it, somebody else had created it, but it is the 10 traits of a healthy relationship. So we go over and kind of define those, and then the unhealthy parts. And we use the couplets. So the couplets are a cute way. It's an animated characters that play out what does it look like to be intense? What does it look like to have guilt? Along the way, I spend a little bit of time talking about what is physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. And then at the end, I have students do exploration where they can go to this website or they can go to Love is Respect. And then I call it a web search, but what I'm asking them to do is explore. And so then I give them, like 20 minutes to explore both websites. And they need to come up with 3 resources that they could use for themselves or that they could offer to somebody else, or 3 tips that they could offer somebody else. So if a friend came to them, what would be the tip that they could offer? Um, and so then, again, I don't know if you can see it, but I just have a little worksheet where then they have to come up with the 3 suggestions. And then after students have had time and they've written it down, then I have them talk with a partner about what information did they find, how was it useful, how could they, use this with a friend.
Since you brought it up, and it's related to OneLove. Let's talk about Love is Respect, because I pulled that up on the screen. And
Mhm.
again, those of you that are listening in, if you're able to watch this on the YouTube channel, the School Health Educators YouTube channel, you'll see reference to actual pages of these resources. So you can check that out. And the first one that appears in Love is Respect is that heads up in case you go to this and you are in a relationship where it's not healthy. You can easily jump out of it by clicking the X in the top or pressing the escape key twice. So there are ways that if you're in an unhealthy relationship and are nervous about your partner finding out, you can safely get out of a site before they see that you're there.
Mhm, mhm.
So Debbie, can you tell us about Love is Respect?
Yeah, so again, it's just another great website. And so I use Love is Respect and OneLove as just showing that there are 2 different websites that kind of are laid out a little bit different. Our main focus is OneLove, but then when I come to the exploration of like finding resources, we come to the Love is Respect. And again, I have this as a link for students and they're welcome to kind of explore the website. Um, and then if you go up to the top where it says get help, they can click on that and, it will give them resources that they could go to. The other one is about dating is, students again can just explore the website. That's how I use it.
Wonderful. And I was beginning to pull up something about am I a good partner?
Right.
So it's updated terminology. They're saying partner here, and you can take this quiz.
If you go to the one that says healthy relationships, it's the second one in, power and control, just hover on it maybe where it'll just stay there. Hover, how to set boundaries, what does consent mean? So again, these are things that we've talked about in class, but in 8th grade, it's more that we're defining these terms in my current position, than we're going really deep into the conversation. But yet I am providing an opportunity for students to explore and at least they kind of understand we've already talked a little bit about boundaries. We've talked a little bit about what consent is. And then if they want to explore further, then I've given them a great site that is, trustworthy, reliable.
Wonderful. And thank you for going over these 4 resources. They were the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the E
Environmental working group. Yep.
Excellent, thank you. And then we have OneLove and we have Love is Respect. And since our time is basically up for this first episode, and Debbie's going to be returning to the second one, so you will hear her wonderful voice and wisdom in the next one. Debbie, would you like to say any final things regarding any of these 4 or about looking for resources overall as a health educator?
Yes, I would just say when you're new into the profession, it can be very overwhelming and you might be teaching more than just one section of health. You might be traveling to different classrooms. So I think the first thing to do is look what curriculum you have, look and then look at maybe what you're uncomfortable teaching or you haven't taught for a while. That's where you're going out to look for resources. And or where are there gaps in your curriculum? That's where you're looking for resources. That's how you're gonna get your feet on the ground. Then what you do is you kind of have this, like, cycle of, like, looking for resources to stay on top as a professional or, to keep your content on top or up to date.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to?
Well, they're welcome to reach out to me through yellpositiveliving@gmail.com. That is, again, trying to separate my voice, I guess. I created that. I also have a school email, which is debbie.yell at d303.org. That would be one. And the other one is I do have Yell Positive Living on Instagram and Debbie Yelle on TikTok. We're all different, but
Wonderful. And I'll attempt to put those links in today's description.
okay.
I I thank you so much for being here today, and for a future, our episode. I thank you for that. Which the future one is going to go over another 3 resources that Debbie recommends for current school health educators. So thank you so much for listening in today, and some reminders for you. Please remember to follow this podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And also check out the schoolhealtheducators.org website. This site continues to be built upon. The attempt for this website is to create a list of more and more resources for school health educators to can turn to. And remember, you make a difference. You matter. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, and stay well, folks.